First at 9 this Friday, the 16th of August 2024. Puluwang, Sri Lanka. 34 political parties and alliances ink an agreement expressing support for President Wickremesinghe in the upcoming polls. Election promises. Sajid vows to strengthen the hands of the common man. Anura calls for an internal restructuring of the CEB. Namal plans to implement policies of his father, while the Sarva Janabale intends to hold their maiden rally in Jaffna.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Ada Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, 34 political parties signed the Puluwang Sri Lanka Convention confirming their support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election. Joining the event held to mark the occasion, President Wickremesinghe emphasized that the presidential election is an opportunity for the country to decide whether to continue the progress made during the last 2 years and requested all Sri Lankans to join him in making Sri Lanka a great nation. Representatives of political parties that have pledged support to incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe for the upcoming presidential election convened at a hotel in Batramulla under the patronage of the President. During the event, 34 political parties and alliances signed the Puluwang Sri Lanka Convention confirming their support for Wickremesinghe in the presidential contest.
ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මැතිතුමාගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තියයි මේ සිද්ධ වන්නේ. රමේෂ් පදිරණ මැතිතුමාගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තියයි ප්‍රසන්න රණතුංග මැතිතුමාගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තියයි අලි සබ්රි මැතිතුමාගේ නියෝජනයයි මේ සිද්ධ වන්නේ. ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය නියෝජනය කරමින් නිමල් සිරිපාල්ද සිල්වා මැතිතුමාගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තියයි නව ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය නියෝජනය කරමින් ගරු කුමාර වෙල්ගම් මැතිතුමාගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තියයි සමගි ජනබලවේගය නියෝජනය කරමින් ගරු රාජිත සේනාරත්න මැතිතුමාගේ නියෝජනය භවතු Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena inked the agreement on behalf of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna. Ministers Nimal Siripala de Silva and Mahinda Amaraveera signed on behalf of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, while Ministers Ramesh Patirana, Prasanna Ranatunga and Ali Sabri signed on behalf of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Minister Susil Premajayantha represented the new alliance, while MP Anuru Predarshanayapa signed the agreement on behalf of the Podujana Eksat Peramuna. Minister Tiranalas inked the agreement on behalf of his United People's Party. The Samagi Janabalavegya was represented by MPs Rajitha Senaratne and AHM Fauzi. MPs Asanka Navratna representing the Sri Lanka Mahajana Party, Kumara Velgama for the New Lanka Freedom Party, Udena Kirindigoda for the Freedom People's Congress, Mohammed Muzammil for the National Freedom Front also signed the agreement, while the National Congress was represented by ALM Ataullah. Several other political parties were also party to the convention.
Reviving a country is an unforgettable achievement. You took over the country during the worst crisis that we witnessed during our lifetimes. Thanks to your leadership, the country is gradually rebuilding itself and moving forward. Against such a backdrop, all of us have joined together to strengthen that journey. With my over 5 decades of experience in politics, I can confidently say that no other presidential candidate is on par with you.
ජනපතිවරණේ ඉදිරිපත් වී තිබෙන ඔබ සමග සමයෙක් නැහැ කියලා අවුරුදු 50ක දේශපාලන අත්දැකීමක් ඇතුව මම ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
පුළුවන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඒක පෙන්වන්නයි අපි මෙතෙන්ට රැස් වෙලා මේ සම්මුතිය තාත්සන් කරේ.
We signed this convention to show that Sri Lanka can. This presidential election will decide the country's future. Other candidates ask people to think of themselves and vote for them. I will not ask that of the people. What I ask of the people is to think of their future and cast their vote accordingly. We had to take some difficult decisions. Taking those decisions did not give us any pleasure. However, we did that for the country. We held lengthy discussions and accepted the challenge. After we accepted the challenge, we were able to control inflation. Then we initiated welfare programs such as Asfasuma and tripled the Samurdhi allowance. We accomplished these tasks during the height of the crisis. Further, we have provided land ownership to 2 million people and home ownership is being granted to residents of Colombo. In 2023, we provided salary increments and allowances to government employees and did so again in 2024. What other government has granted 20 to 25,000 rupee salary increments? The highest increment that was previously granted was 10,000 rupees in 2015. Now we must decide whether we continue this progress or lose it. It took us 2 years to get here. We must decide how to develop the nation and create a better future for the youth. We have formed a new political power. We came together while other political parties collapsed. We must continue this journey for another 5 years. Therefore, I request that you join us in this journey of making Sri Lanka a great nation.
In the meantime, Deputy Leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, MP Ali Zahir Maulana, met President Wickremesinghe at his election office on Flower Road and pledged his support to the President for the upcoming election.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya opposition leader Sajith Premadasa asserts that he intends to be a president of the people following his election to office on the 21st of September. Addressing the SJB-led alliance's maiden rally in Kurunagala, Premadasa went on to say that the Gammudava and Janasavya programs will be revived under his leadership.
A rally themed Samata Jayak Samagi Ratak, organised by the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, was held today at the Kurunagala Satyavedi ground under the patronage of opposition leader and SJB's presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa. Representatives of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya-led Samagi Jana Sandhanaya were present at the rally.
We saw that former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected with a majority of the Sinhala Buddhist votes. Similarly, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa also received votes from the same demographic. However, they did not receive votes from the north. I would like to say that people across the nation from the north to the south support Sajith Premadasa.
The country is in crisis. Our economy, national assets, legal system, education and democracy are all in jeopardy. Those are the 5 great dangers we face. Will we resolve this crisis or continue to live with it? We are moving forward with this broad united front to ensure that we save the country from danger.
Subsequently, Sajith Premadasa was received by his supporters and well-wishers with a warm welcome.
Political leaders joined various camps. None of the MPs who joined us wanted positions or privileges. We don't have money to spend on such things. Instead, we invest our resources in improving Sri Lanka's education through the Sakwala program, along with Sri Lanka's health through the Husma program. Remember, on the 21st of September, the president elected will be a president of the people. I promise to launch the Gammudava and Janasavya programs upon my election on the 21st of September. We will work to lift the poor out of poverty through targeted initiatives. I have the best team comprising world-renowned authorities, specialists and experts from the industrial, economic, health and education sectors. No other party has a team like ours. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya-led Samagi Jana Sandhanaya is comprised of well-qualified and experienced individuals in all areas necessary to develop this country.
කලපුරුද්ද පළපුරුද්ද හැම පුරුද්දක්ම තිබෙන රටට සේවයක් කරන්නට පුළුවන් දක්ෂයෙක් ඉන්නේ වෙන කොහෙවත් නෙමෙයි සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ සමගි ජන සන්ධානයේ.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Now, leader of the National People's Power, Anurukumara Dissanayake, calls for an internal restructuring of the Ceylon Electricity Board, one of the measures he proposes in order to safeguard the power and energy sector from another crisis. Addressing an event in Colombo, he said his party has already prepared a framework to provide a permanent solution for the crises in the power and energy sector of the country.
An event to unveil the National People Power's policy statement for the power and energy sectors was held in Colombo last evening under the patronage of its party leader Anurukumara Dissanayake.
මේ විදුලි බල ශේත්‍රය සහ බලශක්ති ශේත්‍රය ගත්තොත්
The power and energy sector in the country is labelled as a crisis-hit sector. Most people point to the engineering mafia for pushing it into crisis. We will prepare an annual power generation plan to determine how to make the supply meet the rising demand. Is the lack of implementation in the power generation plan a fault of the engineers? If we remove all the employees working in the CEB, the 1,000 rupee electricity bill will be reduced by 70 rupees. The issue pertaining to the electricity bill is not due to an issue with the employees. As a solution, the government introduces emergency purchasing. Behind emergency purchasing, there is no involvement of the engineers or employees. It is a politically motivated matter. Under the policy of the National People's Power, we will ensure uninterrupted and efficient power at a fair rate. We have prepared a framework to provide a permanent solution to this issue. The Ceylon Electricity Board needs an internal restructuring. We welcome private investments with regard to power generation. However, we will not greenlight any unfair proposal. The CEB has been unbundled due to various other reasons. We will bring all those entities under a single ministry.
The SLPP's presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa claims that he intends to further implement the policies put together and advocated by his father, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He made those remarks while speaking to his well-wishers and supporters during his visit to Anuradhapura today.
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa, along with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and several other members of the SLPP, visited the Jai Shri Mahabodhi today to invoke blessings. The SLPP MPs and party affiliates took part in religious services led by the chief incumbent of the Lanka Rama Vihara, Venerable Ralapanave Dhammajoti Thera. Afterwards, the SLPP presidential candidate and his allies visited the sacred Ruhanveli Mahasaya and received blessings. An almsgiving for the Buddhist clergy was also organised during Namal Rajapaksa's visit to Anuradhapura. Subsequently, Namal Rajapaksa was warmly received by a crowd of well-wishers and supporters at the inception of a vehicle parade from Anuradhapura to Kandy that commenced in the evening today.
At a challenging moment, we embraced the challenging circumstances. Let's work diligently for the benefit of our country and its future generation by creating jobs for the young, easing the tax burden and supporting local farmers. Together, let's continue to implement the policies put together by Mahinda Rajapaksa and develop the country further. I wish you all the very best. Uday Gamanpilla of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance reveals that the maiden rally of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance aimed at securing the victory of the alliance's presidential candidate Dilith Jayavira will be held in Jaffna tomorrow. The rally will turn a new page in election history, going down as the first time a national level alliance initiates its public rally series in Jaffna.
The presidential candidate of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance and leader of the Maubima Janatha Party Dilith Jayavira visited the Hunupitiya Gangarame temple in Colombo today to invoke blessings along with key members of his alliance. The second draft of the Sarvajana Balaya strategic plan was presented to the chief incumbent of the Hunupitiya Gangarame temple, Venerable Dr. Kirindeya Sajithera. Subsequently, a press briefing was organised to share the upcoming plans of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance and to announce key details pertaining to its maiden rally in Jaffna.
දිලිත් ජයවීර මැතිතුමාගේ ජයග්‍රහණය සහතික කරන රැලි මාලාවේ මංගල රැලිය අගෝස්තු 17 වන සෙනසුරාදා යාපනයේ රක්කාපිටියෙන් ආරම්භ වෙනවා. ජාතික මට්ටමේ සන්ධානයක ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයෙක් යාපනයෙන් සමන්ගේ මැතිවරණ ප්‍රචාරක රැලි ආරම්භ කරන්නේ ඉතිහාසයේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට. ඒ වගේම දිලිත්ගේ වගවීම වෙනස්. දිලිත්ගේ රට හදන දැක්ම වෙනස්.
අපේ අපේක්ෂකයා අලුත් අපේක්ෂකයෙක් ඔහු ඉදිරිපත් කරන සියලුම සංකල්ප අලුත් සංකල්ප සියලු සමීක්ෂණ වාර්තාවලින් පෙනෙන කාරණාව තමයි අද වෙනකොට හඳුනාගෙන තිබෙන ප්‍රධාන පෙළේ තරඟකරුවන් යයි සැලකෙන සියලු දෙනා අතර බෙදී ගොස් තිබෙන්නේ 160කට වඩා අඩු ඡන්ද ප්‍රතිශතයක්. ඉතුරු 140 තාම කාටද ඡන්ද ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න කියන එක තීරණය වෙලා නැහැ.
ආදරණීය නාමල් අභියෝගයට අභියෝග කළ කෙනයි පෝස්ට් එකක්
ලොකු අභියෝගයක් තියෙනවනේ 103 ඉක්මවා ගන්න කෙසේද කියන අභියෝගයට තුම මුණපාලා තියෙන එක පිළිගත්ත එක ලොකු දෙයක්. මහින්ද මහත්තයාට සමාජයේ ලොකු ගෞරවයක් තිබුණා. ඒ ගෞරවය රැකෙන්න නම් තුම අභිමානවත් ලෙස දේශපාලනයේ සමුගන්න නම් මැතිවරණ වේදිකාවට එතුමා නොපමිණී.
Now let's hear what leaders across the political spectrum have to say about Sri Lanka's current political context.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිවරයාට මැතිවරණ කොමිසමෙන් හම්බෙලා තියෙනවා ඔහුගේ නියම මැතිවරණ ලකුණ 22 වෙනිදා වෙනකොට අනුර දිසානායකට රට බාර දීලා බැහැලා යන්න වෙනවා.
යථාර්ථයේ රටේ ජනතාව තේරුම් ගන්න පසුගිය අවුරුදු දෙක දිහා බැලුවාම ගෑස් ටැංකිය උඩ වාඩි වෙලා පෝලිං වල හිටපු අයට ඉතින් ඔක්කොම මතකයි මේක ඉතින් අලුතෙන් මතක් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා හැමෝම 21 වෙනිදා උදේ පාන්දර ගිහිල්ලා ගෑස් ටැංකිය කතිරේ ගහලා නැවත ගෑස් ටැංකි පෝලිමේ ඉන්නේ නැති වෙන්න රට හදා ගන්නවා.
මේ මැතිවරණය තුල සියලුම ජාතීන්ට පිළිගන්න පුළුවන් ලංකාවේ සෑම දිශාවකම නියෝජනය වෙන එකම අපේක්ෂකයා සයිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා පමණයි. මේ වෙනකොට එදා ජනතා සභාවේ අපි 13 දෙනාගෙන් 12 දෙනෙක්ම දැන් එතුමාත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවා.
දැන් බලන්න කළුතරිස්ගේ බලන්නකෝ සජබෙන් පත්තුනේ മന്ത്രിලා දෙන්නයි පහුගිය මැතිවරණේ දෙන්නම දැන් රනිල් ළඟ. පොහොට්ටුවේ නායකයා රෝහිත රනිල් ළඟ. පියල් රනිල් ළඟ. අනුප රනිල් ළඟ. විදුර රනිල් ළඟ.
එක එක්කෙනාට විවේචනය කරනවා එහාට පහිනවා මෙහාට පහිනවායි කියලා 94 චන්ද්‍රිකා එක්ක එකතු වුණා. පරිවාස ආණ්ඩුව හදන්න නැවත වතාවක් චන්ද්‍රිකාත් එක්ක ගිවිසුම් ගැව්වා. ඊළඟට 2005 මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාව බලයට ගේන්න කටයුතු කළා. ඊළඟට 2010 සරත් ෆොන්සේකා එක්ක වැඩ කළා. ඊළඟට 2015 මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ජනාධිපතිවරයාත් එක්කත් වැඩ කළා. එතකොට ඔවුන්ගේ ඉතිහාසයත් තමන්ට ඕන න්‍යායවල් හදලා එක එක්කෙනාව බලයට ගේන ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේ තමයි ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ වැඩ කරලා තිබෙන්නේ.
මේ වෙලාවේ පුළුවන් මිනිහෙට මේ රටේ ඉන්නේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ විතරයි. පොහොට්ටුව කියන පක්ෂයක් කියන නමට හිටියට පොහොට්ටුවේ සමාජිකයෝ 90%ක් ඉන්නේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයත් එක්ක. ඒ නිසා පොහොට්ටුව අද ස්වාධීන නිර්පාක්ෂික අපේක්ෂකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාට මේ රටේ මිනිස්සු ආදරෙයි. මිනිස්සු ආදරෙයි කියලා මුළු පවුලටම ආදරය කරන්නේ නැහැනේ මිනිස්සු. රටට වැඩක් කරන මිනිහව තමයි මිනිස්සු තෝරගන්නේ.
මේ මැතිවරණය නායකයෙක් තෝරීමේ මැතිවරණය. මේ රට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන් නායකයා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා.
පුළුවන් කියන කණ්ඩායම් සියලු දෙනාම එකට එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවා රටේ අනාගතය සඳහා. ඒ අනුව ඉදිරියටත් කණ්ඩායම් වලට එකතු වෙන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබෙනවා. ඒ සියලු දෙනා එකතු වෙන්නේ පුජ්‍යලක වශයෙන් නෙමෙයි රට වෙනුවෙන් එකතු වෙනවා සියලු දෙනා.
With the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act coming into effect onwards from this year's presidential election, the Election Commission today convened a meeting of the presidential candidates to discuss the maximum sum of money which could be spent per voter by a candidate. Meanwhile, the Election Commission also announced that with a record 39 candidates contesting this year's presidential election, the ballot paper for the contest will be the longest in election history.
A meeting among members of the Election Commission, the candidates contesting the presidential election and their representatives was held this afternoon to determine the funds that a presidential candidate can spend on a single voter. Determining the maximum sum of money which could be spent per voter by a candidate is a new rule that has come into effect pursuant to the provisions of the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act, which will be enforced for the first time since its enactment in January last year.
ප්‍රධාන පක්ෂ ගත්තොත් ඒ හැම එක්කෙනෙක්ම කිව්වේ එක ඡන්දදායකයෙක් වෙනුවෙන් රුපියල් 200ක් නැත්නම් 300ක් නැත්නම් 400ක් කියලා යෝජනා කරා. මටත් හිතා ගන්න බැරුණා සමහර අපේක්ෂකයෝ බස් එකෙන් මෙතෙන්ට ඇවිල්ලා එක ඡන්දදායකයෙක් වෙනුවෙන් රුපියල් බිලියන ගාණක් වියදම් කරන්න අවසර ඉල්ලනවා.
අපි හිතුවා අවම වශයෙන් රුපියල් 100කවත් මුදලක් ලබා දුන්නොත් හොඳයි කියන එක ඡන්දදායකයෙක් වෙනුවෙන්. හැබැයි සමහර පක්ෂ ඡන්දදායකයාව නිකන් රුපියල් 20කට වගේ ගාණකට සීමා කරලා මැතිවරණයේ අගයත් පල්ලෙහා දාලා කතා කරපු තත්ත්වෙකුත් තියුණා.
Meanwhile, former chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya requested the public to submit complaints pertaining to violations of election law to the Volunteer Initiatives for Election Watch, of which he is an advisor.
අපට තොරතුරු එවන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ මේ අංක දෙකක් පිටිපස්සේ ගහලා තියෙන hotline එක. 0.117 785 785 0.117 289
In the meantime, the Election Commission announced that with 39 candidates contesting this year's presidential election, the ballot paper for this year's contest will be the longest in Sri Lankan election history at a length of 27.5 inches.
Star dishwasher Rally Tel Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher Magic Tub එක.
Welcome back. Now, the Foreign Minister confirmed that 20 more Sri Lankans who were held hostage in cybercrime camps in the Mayavadi area of Myanmar have been rescued. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Taraka Balasuri revealed that steps are underway to repatriate 34 more Sri Lankan nationals held in captivity. In December last year, Derana reported that around 56 Sri Lankan nationals were being held in a terrorist camp in Mayavadi, Myanmar, after falling prey to a human trafficking racket operated by an organisation posing as an agency providing foreign employment opportunities to young Sri Lankans. The Sri Lankans detained in the terrorist camp were reportedly put to work as cyber slaves. Taking the situation into account, the Sri Lankan Minister of Foreign Affairs, in close coordination with the governments of Thailand and Myanmar, the Sri Lankan missions based in neighbouring Southeast Asian countries and international organisations, took measures to ensure the well-being and safe repatriation of those Sri Lankans at the earliest possible instance. 8 Sri Lankans were rescued by the Burmese authorities in early March and were safely repatriated to the island by April. In a recent further development, the Foreign Ministry confirmed that 20 more Sri Lankans who were held hostage in cybercrime camps in the Mayavadi area of Myanmar have been rescued. Addressing a media briefing today, State Minister of Foreign Affairs Taraka Balasuri said measures are underway to rescue the remaining Sri Lankans trapped in these terrorist camps.
We are absolutely delighted that we were able to get the release of 20 students who have been working in these illegal campsites in Myanmar, mainly involved in this the cyber crimes. Both my ambassadors in Myanmar, in Thailand, have done their job. My ambassador in Thailand has immediately gone and visited the students, and I myself had the opportunity to talk to the students yesterday on video conference. The students are in good health, and we are working with the IOM in order to get them to Sri Lanka as soon as possible. There's 34 students who are still remaining in Myanmar. So our next job would be to ensure that there will be an early release of the other 34 students. And we also would like to point out this problem does not end over here. And in order for us to have a concrete stop, we have to stop students being deceived and going to places like Myanmar on employment. We understand that recently also 5 students through Dubai, they have gone to Myanmar. Our efforts will be in vain if more students keep going to Myanmar in hope of employment. So what we would like to address in this juncture is to advise all people who are looking for foreign employment to please go through the proper channels.
The US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, says that the US is committed for the development of the youth in Sri Lanka. She made those comments while addressing an event in Matara.
The newly renovated American Corner in Matara was inaugurated recently by the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung. Following the renovation, the expanded American Corner in Matara has doubled its original capacity to host innovative, free programs for local Sri Lankan youth to learn entrepreneurship, leadership, English language, STEM and other key areas. The American Corner in Matara is part of the United States Global American Spaces Network that comprises more than 600 cultural and information centers in more than 140 countries in every geographic region worldwide.
The American Corner here opened first in 2018. There's been great demand for the young people to come here for English classes, STEM classes, learning, thinking, and today we're expanding this space even more. This shows the United States' dedication and commitment to the people of Matara, the community here, especially the young people. With just a little bit of opportunity and resources, we believe the young people have so much potential to grow, to thrive, to make Sri Lanka thrive even more. So this is an exciting day today. We have more to do, more programs we want to do here in Matara, but really a wonderful, momentous occasion to really show our partnership with the people of Matara.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.